Terrific season for everybody, you know, all the staff in particular who worked, you know, tirelessly. The players put in effort every week. It was great, really enjoyable season to be involved with everybody, especially with our fans, all, you know, trekking up and down the country, and like some of the performances and some of the results was just tremendous, especially for the fans, you know. The back end of 2012 was quite difficult because some of our players were being nobbled for the following season and whatever. With about 4 games to go, I felt we were still with a chance of doing the double, ironically, because we had a final to look forward to. And we were going to Sligo, and I felt if we had a bet Sligo up there, we would have been 1 result away from catching them to win the league. And they had Rovers and Shamrock Rovers and Drogheda, I think, were also vying for European spots, so there were 2 difficult games for them. So it was a must-win game up in Sligo. It didn't transpire that we won, but at 2-0 down, we got it back to 2-2. We've hit the post, we've hit the bar, and then they've gone up and got a penalty. Like, for me, when I think back in that season, the penalty that they got early, that we got early in the season, we drew with them up there, 0-0, I think it was, if memory serves me right, and we missed a penalty. At the back end of the season, they get a penalty and score, and it was quite a significant jump in points there for them. And then with the cup final, we had to pick ourselves up for that, but equally there was some other off-field stuff going on there with the players and whatever and staff that I wasn't at all happy with. That said, we had to see it through. Unfortunately, I didn't think we played too badly in the final. Derry were marginally better than us, I would have felt. They got a little rub of the green. It just wasn't to be. And from that end, we were all disappointed. But it was nice in the dressing room after. There was a few lads shedding tears, there was the board were in there, there was a lot of people that felt disappointed and hurt with the whole result and whatever. But we felt we did great in relation to, you know, we were right in with a chance of winning the league, and to be beaten in the cup final, it happens. I would have felt within the group, we held on to the bulk of the group, which we did. It was certainly a real solid building block for the following season. That off-season then we were busy then because some of our staff left, took 1 or 2 of the players. We regrouped and brought in some more players and regrouped with the staff. I felt we were strong again. I knew we were going to challenge again last year. Whether it was first, second or third, I wasn't sure, but I knew we were going to be difficult to beat. I knew we were going to be thereabouts. I knew I was getting with Killian Brennan. He hadn't had a good season the previous year with Rovers for whatever reason. You know, he'd pick up a couple of injuries and whatever. But I knew he's a top player, and I knew he was going to be a fantastic addition to the group because of his experience. I never liked playing against him, I'll be straight, because he was such a good player. He always hurt teams. He scored goals. You know, he's a good competitive lad. And working with him over the season, his experience in training and all that was great. You know, I'm sure that rubbed off on some of the players. The likes of Conan Bourne, had him in Sporting Fingal, and done brilliantly for us there where we won the cup and got promoted, and he would have been a big part of all of that. I mean, all the players that we brought in, they all made an impact. And I kept saying this within the group, like, it's not just about the 11, it's the quality of training within the 20. Like, we've got 20, 22 players. And it was all of them kept a good real level of fitness and training to push everybody on. And once we kept that, I knew the ability that they had. They're going to be thereabouts, you know. And I'd like to think again this season, like, we've got a top group, both on and off the pitch, and we'll be competitive again, that's for sure.
Just in terms of the squad dynamic, when myself and Liam are looking at the players to sign, we don't just look, obviously they have to be talented footballers, but we look at everything about them, their off the field behaviour and the type of people they are, and it's ended up being a really good group. They work hard together, but they have a bit of crack as well. Bisto obviously is an absolute scream when he's not giving out. Jay Kelly's very funny as well, and Killian is just so laid back, he's horizontal. So they're just a really good bunch of lads.
I knew working with the group from the previous year into this year just gone by, I knew that they were ready. I've said that once or twice to them through the season. We're ready for success. We're ready to go and win things, you know what I'm saying, because of the ability that they would have. If they match that with fitness and determination, you know, and all that sort of stuff, will give ourselves a chance to calm down and make sure we play a certain way. And we have got patterns that we're trying to develop within the group. And if they do that, we're not going to be far off it. And I would have felt with the new signings that we brought in, you know, we brought in 5 or 6 new players into the group. They were adding a certain amount of quality to it as well, you know. So Yeah, the question, did I know? I was terribly excited about where we were going this season, because I knew we were going to be thereabouts in both competitions. Unfortunately, the cup we got turfed out here with Rovers. That said, we'll win that over next season or two, please God. But the league is the main one for us. And again, this season, that's our main priority, is to try and win the league. Winning 1-0 was great, got us off to a good start. Previous to that, we would have had our pre-season, which involved the Satanta Cup. Pre-season is what it is. It's about getting yourself fit. We'd have a 6 or 7 week programme to get ourselves right. That Satanta Cup didn't kick in an ideal time for us. And with one or two of the bits and pieces injury-wise we picked up in the pre-season, we had to carry that into the season. I thought we did okay against Start without being great.
Shane McFall, super player, great lad. Always worked hard at the 3 cornerstones of being a modern day footballer: the quiff, the sunbed tan and the tattoo. Comfortably the vainest man I've ever met. Was unfortunate with Greg's form not to play more games, which was also unfortunate for him because he would never get picked for the quiz team either. When he eventually retires, I believe he's going to open the Shane McFall Centre for kids that don't read good.
The second game then was against Shamrock Rovers up in Tala, and we were awful. That was the worst game I think we've played this season. That said, it didn't sort of take away from the fact that we still had a quality group of players and the staff. We just needed to regroup quickly and get our game plan back on track. I thought we were poor with the ball up in Tala, and defensively we were poor. Culminating was getting whacked. Bearing in mind the circumstances of that whole occasion, with players going from the previous season and staff and goalkeeping staff, and it was quite disappointing, I have to say. I would have been going home. That was probably the lowest part of that season. That said, once we got that out of the way, we clicked in the following week. We started working hard on our shape and what people's disciplines within the group are, and we started picking ourselves up. It was a warning for us. We need to get into this quickly, because you don't want to find yourself 6, 9, 12 points behind the rest of them as you're going along here. Now, as it was, unfortunately, we had a couple of games called off with the weather, and that compounded that result as well, which left us, I think, probably in the bottom 3 or 4 at one stage in the season after 4 or 5 games or whatever. That said, we did move on from there, and I'm glad we've picked it all up. We've all realised that there was a performance of the team and a win in the team, and we did get our results, and we've pushed on.
The lowest point of the season for me was definitely sitting in Talca Park getting updates from the second game of the season, the first game against Rovers, when we were beaten 3-0. That was a very low point, and over the next couple of weeks, there was a lot of soul searching, a lot of meetings, and a lot of finger pointing, and we sorted out a lot of stuff, not necessarily in a bad way, but we sorted out a few issues that were going on, and in the long run I think it definitely helped us.
The Limerick game, a tremendous result to beat them. They've picked up some top results beating Dundalk. I think they beat them twice to the season. Biggest memory was just Killian Brennan scoring the penalty. Like when I think back to previous year of some of the penalties we missed, and they all add up to points when you're missing those sort of opportunities. Without tempting fate, I don't know how many penalties Killian scored this year, but I don't remember them missing any, which was great. But it was a great result to beat them down there, because I knew that, again, they'd be tough. They're full time, and they brought in some lads from Scotland and whatever, but it was a really good result. For the Dundalk game, yeah, again, we've a top squad last year. I think everybody deserved to be given an opportunity to play in the team. If they did, well and good, and we'll see how it goes from there. I would have felt with the first few performances that we've had, we were juggling it around a wee bit. That said, I would have felt on the day, Dundalk never deserved to win the game. The goals that we conceded that day were very poor from her, and they were absolutely terribly fortunate. That said, you take it on the chin, you move on. As I said, when I looked at the group, there was always a top quality group. We just needed a bit of luck, and what compounded, as I said, was a couple of games that were called off with the weather. It kept us down the bottom end of the table, but once we got going, I felt we were okay. We had a couple of games against Bray and UCD, if memory serves me right on it. We won 1-0 both of them. Tough little venues to go to. I've lost out in both of those venues over the years, and they can be tricky, but the lads applied themselves well. Important, bearing in mind the start we had, but put us back into the mix then, especially with a couple of matches coming up that were going to be our refixed games from the cancelled ones that were cancelled a couple of weeks back. We then had 4 games again at home, which I thought if we could just get our fair share of points there, it would put us right back in the mix. And in fairness, we did. On the Shells result, beating them 4-0 was terrific. Another great performance, tremendous from Chris Forrester, obviously get a hat-trick. If memory serves me right, he came in on the left and clipped one in. There was another short free kick that we done. And the other one was, I think the keeper sort of fumbled it, which he wouldn't want me saying.
Chris Forrester, unbelievable talent. There's nothing he can't do with a ball. He wants a ball with him the whole time. They do a couple of laps before the training and the warm-up. He brings a ball with him. When they're supposed to be stretching, he has a ball with him. He probably goes to bed with a ball with him. And when he's hanging outside the centre in Stony Batter at 2 o'clock in the morning, he has a ball with him.
It was going to be a benchmark for us, bearing in mind I think they went unbeaten for their first 9 games. I think at this stage we had played 8. So it was going to pull us right back on top of them should we win. I thought the performance was excellent, the result was excellent, the occasion was excellent. And I think from then, I think the fans might have equally thought, we're going to be right in the mix here, you know, because you got that vibe. There was electricity around the place and the expectation then grew from there. Killian Brennan's penalty. All I remember on that was he doing a dinky one. Like, we don't tell him what way to hit him. Now, in fairness to him, we stuck him in the left top corner, the left, right, left, and the centre, and his dinky ones. We don't tell him. He's particularly good at them. Whatever way the keeper goes, he seems to go the other way. So, but it was a great penalty, a great result against Sligo to beat them 2-0, and I think the performance again merited that, and it just put us right in the mix. And you know, we felt at that stage, look, if we can we push on and get ourselves top of the table, which we did a few weeks later. We played Derry and Bowes, I think, and we drew. We played Derry off the park here. They were terribly lucky to get a draw of it. And the Bowes game, Bowes played well today. We played them here. That said, I thought we were a little bit unlucky as well not to get a result. But bearing in mind those 4 home games, I was delighted with the way we played, more so than the amount of points that we had. Bearing in mind a couple of draws, but it put us right back in the mix. Down in Cork, I love going down there. It's a great venue to play in. Thought we played particularly well, really, really well. We've battered them. The 2-0 scoreline didn't do us justice on the day. I thought we were exceptional with our passing and the way we linked it in and all that, which is great because down there, it is a difficult venue to go to and win. So again, that was a real confidence booster for everybody.
John Russell, the ultimate pro, never is not doing something when he's either on a foam roller or doing sit-ups or core work or talking about creatine and what he can eat and what he can't eat. Superb athlete, broke records in all the fitness tests, great player, had a brilliant season.
We flipped up to Drogheda and we got a great result up there. If we, you know, sometimes through your league campaign, you're going to have games where you're a little bit fortunate, lucky, and that would have been one of them. I would have felt. Christy Fagan scores with 10 minutes to go. Felt that might have been enough to get out with 1-0. Then they got a throw in down beside us in the dugout. They've flung it into the edge of the 6-yard box. It gets flicked on, and I think it was Ryan Brennan got a strike on it to get it to 1-1. Would have been disappointed. Now, in fairness to Drogheda, they probably deserved something out of the game. We're a little bit disappointed at that stage. Bearing in mind we're gone to injury time. The ball's gone up the park fairly quickly. It's banged into Christy Fagan. All of a sudden, we're getting a penalty, which at the time we were fortunate, I would have felt, to get. Killian's penalty, fantastic penalty, put it to the keeper's left. He was never going to save it, and we've walked out with a 2-1 result. I wouldn't say it was merited, but in fairness to Drogheda, they would deserve something on the day. But look, we took it. It was great. It kept us right in the mix in relation to where we wanted to be in the top 3.
Killian Brennan, lacking a bit of confidence, scored a penalty in the 92nd minute against Drogheda, playing against 2 of his brothers, his whole family, against his hometown club, who actually give him more stick than everyone else, although everybody gives him stick. And I asked him after the game, was he nervous taking the penalty? To which he said, "Are you serious? If we shot from 12 yards, that's going in the net all day long."
Fans are brilliant up there, and again, I have to say, over the previous weeks and coming as the thing was snowballing on throughout the season, I would have felt that I think people were afraid to think we might win it. But yet we're excited about winning it, and that was players as well. I think a lot of our players hadn't won anything at this stage. But that occasion, I do remember, they were absolutely chuffed and they were jumping all over the place. We went over and there was a bit of a bonding sort of between the group, I would have felt, and them, because it's important for everybody, and it was a sort of an occasion for everybody to enjoy. But it was just fantastic picking up 3 points, which kept us right in the mix down at the top end of the table. 3 Dublin derbies against Rovers, Bows and Shells. 3 difficult ties. We've drew with Rovers, felt we could have maybe got more out of the game there. I remember after the game the media suggesting to us that is there enough goals in the team. I always felt it was we'd get our fair share of goals because we were creating quite a lot of chances, just not putting them away. But I don't like putting the lads under pressure with having to score goals, but they do need to get chances. And I knew once you kept on getting chances, it's only a matter of time before you start. And there's a bit of confidence goes with that as well. The following week we've played well against Bows and Shells, and we've spanked both of them. I think it was 2-0 and 3-0. And all of a sudden there's a bit of confidence comes with that, and taking our opportunities that we've created, and we've played quite well.
Christy Fagan, top centre forward, absolutely the best player in his position in the league. Centre forward was back to goal. Once played for Man United, believe it or not, which he sometimes goes more than 12 hours without telling us a Bex or Giggsy story. People say he doesn't score enough goals, but he still holds the record as the highest scorer in Moldovan ever to play in the league.
The UCD game where we won 5-0. All the goals came in the second half. We played again particularly well. I was delighted with the performance. The scoreline could have been more the way we played. I was delighted. Our wide players are particularly good. Our middle three rotated quite well. We created loads of chances, and to bag 5 on top of the previous results in the previous few weeks was great. It was a real shot in the arm, you know, and I have no doubt the lads are enjoying the football. I think the fans are enjoying it, and again there was a bit of a bonding there going on, that listen, how good can this team be? You know, I think as the season went on we got better. Our Limerick results, on top of the previous results that we've had, was fantastic. To beat them 3-0 kept us right in the mix, especially with Dundalk coming up the following week. I know everybody's excited about it. Again, we've played well, and they're a decent outfit, Limerick. They have took some decent scalps through the season. Within, I'd say, probably 20 minutes, Killian Brennan was sent off. Remember going to the referee at half time and asking him what he sent him off for, and he said it was a 2-footed lunge. Now, it didn't look great from the initial looking at it, but when we looked at it on DVD, it wasn't as bad as the referee thought it was. On top of that, the penalty that Shane McFall was alleged to have pushed over one of their lads, it was never a penalty. And the third goal equally was a poor defensive goal where they knocked it wide. We were down to 10 men, they've knocked it wide and scored. Brendan on the near post. They never deserved to win the game, but they did, and kept them right close to us as well from the mixed point of view. That said, I went to the referee afterwards, and in fairness, Donald would have had our DV done fairly quickly. Down to us, had it on the laptop. Graham would have isolated 2 or 3 different parts of the game. We'd have went into him and we had a chat about it, you know, as professionals. I thought he handled the game reasonably well, bar 1 or 2 of these calls, but unfortunately if you get too many of these calls against you, you finish second, third or fourth. So we had a chat about it and we showed him the incident with Killian, because, you know, these sort of instances you can get a 3-match suspension for that sort of tackle. So I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't perceived that it was that bad. Anyway, it didn't look that bad, and ultimately he got 1 match suspension out of it. But the sending off, sorry, I beg your pardon, the tackle on Shane McFall was a definite sending off for one of the Dundalk lads, and the penalty was never a penalty. So it was terribly unfortunate, bearing in mind the run of results we had, just to have that clicked in between, and bearing in mind they were just behind us at that stage. It brought them close to us. That said, we looked at it. The bigger scale of things was only 3 points. You know, we've regrouped and we've pushed on from there. We all would have been disappointed in 1 or 2 giving out in the dressing room after, but look, I don't like having too much of a discussion after games, because we're all hyper and we're all excited and we're all, you know, whatever, and sometimes you can say the wrong thing. So we're better off discussing it over the following training session, stroke Monday, Tuesday. We ironed out a few bits and pieces in relation to that. You know, we weren't going to win every game last season, and we're not going to win every game this season. You know, and you have to take defeats as part of the whole package of winning a league. You know, you can't do obviously win the cup, but from a league perspective, you know, we have to take the draws and the losses. But as long as we're ahead of the posse, as long as we're ahead of, you know, from a league table point of view, you know, that keeps me happy. You know. After the break, the guys were only given a few days off. We had a 2-0 result against Bray Wanderers. Christy Fagan bagged a couple. Then we had a midweek game in Europe against Zalgiris. Played particularly well there, I felt, on the night to get a 2-2 draw away was a great result. Unfortunately, we got beaten here a couple of weeks later. That said, it was a decent performance. Ger Bryan scored a fantastic goal. Conan Bourne got the first one down the right. Great performance and really good for the group from that end. Came home then and we had Sligo, but we had a couple of suspensions and injuries going into the Sligo game. And I remember Aidan Price, that was his first game in quite a while. And Stephen Marr came in as well into midfield. I thought the two of them did tremendously well, bearing in mind they hadn't been playing in previous weeks, and to come in at such a high level was fantastic. They both did great. We went 1-0 up, and I think with about 3 minutes to go, I still felt we could have hung on for a result up there, but they've bagged a late goal. Ball banged into the box and flicked back in, and Macmillan got a touch over Brendan on the back post. That said, it was 1-1. It still kept us right in the mix there. You know, we moved on from that.
Bisto, where do I start? He'd have a fight with himself. The biggest moaner I have ever met. He was being taken off at half-time in one game, and I went into the ref at half-time to tell him, give him the slip, say we were making a substitution. And he said, good idea, because we were probably going to send him off. To which I said, you're lucky, you only have him every now and again. We have him 5 times a week. He once had a row with Killian after a match in Limerick. And if Liam hadn't stopped it, I honestly believe they'd still be there.
Yeah, the Cork game, another great result for us. We went 1-0 down. And then Anto Flood came in and scored a goal, and Killian Brennan got another penalty, which is great, because the previous year we'd missed quite a few penalties, which have cost a lot of points, but it was great that he tucked it in again, and a great 3 points for us against Cork.
It goes to Kelly, opportunity potentially here. No, is that a penalty? Killian Brennan, the man of the match, announced by Felix just seconds ago, has won St. Pat's a penalty kick. Undone in the 89th minute last week. Are they to be undone again in stoppage time? Brennan scores! That is a huge moment for the Saints in terms of their title challenge. Killian Brennan, emphatic. 7th league goal of the season. And in the final analysis come late October, just how crucial will that goal against the 10 men of Cork City be?
The football can be a very cruel game. Although having said that, on another night they've been, Cork would have been beat 4 or 5.
It was a 0-0 draw against Drogheda. They're a fairly dogged outfit they were last year, Drogheda. They've got a couple of cup finals out of it, 2 or 3 cup finals they played, but every time we played against them they gave us a tough game, but we were disappointed with the draw. But look, it was, as I said to the guys at the time, if you win the league at the end of the season by a point, it could be that point, so we took the positives out of it. The Shamrock Rovers game, following the Drogheda 0-0, was one we were all looking forward to, bearing in mind the second game we had in the season, getting beaten up there 3-0. There was other stuff as well going on with players and all that, but I knew everybody was excited about going up and giving some sort of performance. The match went our way. Now, there was an element of fortune that 1 or 2 of their players got sent off. That said, we just could not take away from the scoreline. A 4-0. Conan Bourne bagging 4 goals is just phenomenal for him. I was delighted for him and his family. His mother and father go to all the games, and like for any player to score 4 against Shamrock Rovers up in Tala is fantastic. But to do it the way we did it, the fans were over my left shoulder here. I can still see them. They had a field day, and I couldn't help but look every time we scored. I had a quick squint around at them, because it was just a tremendous occasion. And when I looked over this side and seen their manager, I looked back and heard them singing songs, and it was just, it'll be a moment that'll stay with me forever. I've had some really good highlights, but that was a special moment, especially after the second game and all the stuff that was said around the second game about, the Crowley factor. Rovers are going to be win this, Pats are going to be don't be winning and whatever, and it was a bit disappointing, but what a tremendous result, tremendous performance by the guys. Couldn't be happier for all our supporters. Great occasion. It's a memorable occasion.
My second daughter was born the week before, so there was a lot of activity in the household, and not sleeping very, very well that week at all. But the 2 days leading up to the game was very focused, and trained on the Thursday, and things didn't look right for me on Friday. Then there was a big problem with me. A vein looked like a vein burst in my leg, and went up to the VHI up in Airside and Swords, and thankfully they said it would be okay, but I was still touch and go for the game, and woke up Friday morning and it had gone down and it was fine. So so that was lucky in that way that I got to play the game, and from the kick-off then I remember we just got at them straight away. I remember Stephen Maher was instrumental in that goal. Greg Bolter played a long ball, diagonal ball out for me, and Daniel Edward won the header, and would only put it as far as Gary McKay, but Stephen Maher came in like a train and knocked him out, and it won the ball fairly, I thought, and ball came in through to me, and I turned Derek Fornan and put it in the bottom corner. The second goal then, the cause of all the debate, I suppose, and I remember Richie Ryan tried to play the ball back to Derek Fornan, got caught under his feet, and Bistow does what he does best. He harassed defenders and got in on top of Derek and won the ball back, and he got a little push in the back, but he got a shot away. So look, if we would have been heartbroken if a penalty had been given against us for that, but look, we'll take it. And from then I remember it took about 5 minutes to take the penalty, with all the arguing with the referee about firstly giving the penalty and then the sending off, and then they were saying that I didn't put the ball in the spot properly as well, and they were just trying to get into my head, and thankfully they didn't, and we went 2-0 up. Killian keeps talking about it now, that he would have been probably top league scorer if he had been on the pitch that night with another 2 goals for him. I was told before the game that I was on penalties. Bleam told me that the fact that Killian's not playing, I'm second on penalties anyway, so I love scoring goals, so I'll never back down any responsibility handed towards me. So I was confident, and thankfully the 2 of them went in, but I suppose the first one was the most important. I remember Ronan Finn was kind of starting to get a bit agitated, I suppose, and he took me down on the edge of the box, and as I got up, I seen Chris Forrester. We had a little training ground routine where I can give the ball into Chris Forrester and he'd lay it back, but he was free on his own, so I just gave it to him and he turned, and Ronan Finn came in and clattered him, and a penalty ensued then, and again a couple of the lads came over and said, "Are you sure you want to take another one after scoring one already?" For a hat-trick up in Tala, you're not going to say no to that. And I remember Barry Murphy was trying to put me off, saying, "Am I going to go to the same place? Am I going to go down the middle?" And but thankfully I decided what I was doing straight away and put it in the same corner, but try and hit the side netting with it, and didn't quite hit the side netting, but I had enough power in it to put it past them, and 3-0 and a hat-trick in Tala. The fourth one was the icing on the cake, I suppose. Again, Ger O'Brien and Marzi done great. Marzi hung up the ball to the back post, and it was a brilliant header from Bistow and an equally better save by Barry. And thankfully, the lads, every player that has played with me will tell you that I'm probably the luckiest player in the world with scoring from inside the 6-yard box. And I just put myself into them positions, and thankfully then I follow things up, and Barry knocked it out for me, and it was the easiest goal of the night and the easiest goal in my career. And it was a special moment. As I said it to you, it'll live long in the memory for myself, and personally it's probably the best thing I've ever done on a football pitch. And I remember the final whistle, and I remember Lorcan Fitzgerald running out to me at the end, and me and Lorcan go back years. We're both from Swords, so I just thought when I seen him coming, he was coming out to congratulate me, but he wasn't. He was coming out to say, "Get your hands on that football, because that football belongs to Shamrock Rovers." So I turned me back, but as I turned me back, the kit man Jerry was on his way over to try and retrieve it. So we managed to get it and threw it over to me, and by that stage the players had already been over towards the fan. So I went over then and followed them over and gave them the claps and everything, and Chris Forrester just came out of nowhere and just decided to pick up my foot. Now I didn't want to make a fool out of him by saying no, so I felt like a bit of a tick doing it, like, but I didn't want to make him look like a tick by refusing to do it. So I'm sure the fans got a good kick out of it, and I'd say if any of the lads had done anything on that night, they would have been praised for it. So it's the fans were brilliant. I remember watching the montage after that game, and the fans just did not stop singing for the whole game. It helped the fact that we went 1-0 up early, and they had every right to be singing. But throughout the season, they were our 12th man. And like the support was phenomenal, and a lot of people ask if it makes a big difference seeing having such support. It makes a huge difference to the players when we're down, or when we're drawn 0-0, or it's 1-0 down and we get a chance, and it lifts the whole place. And that night in particular, I just remember the crowd were bananas, and it was a great night.
Conan Bourne, son of Liam. He was always son of Liam at Fingal. Unfortunately, he has a twin brother now in Ger O'Brien. Finally lost the record of Liam playing him in every game, 147 in a row or something for Fingal. Liam actually tried to play him in the Pats team when he was playing for Shells, because he just puts Conan in at number 7 in every game anyway. Not always the easiest on the eye, scores the odd scrappy goal. Always seems to be there in the right spot to score a goal. Great fella, great pro, and no one will ever forget the 4 goals he scored in Tala.
The Shells game was after the high of beating Rovers up in Tala. I remember Greg Bulger cutting inside and slinging a ball right across to the far side of Conan Bourne. He's come inside, knocked it across, the keeper's come out and spilled it, and Stephen Maher, we'd been at him as an offensive midfielder to make sure he's linking in and getting up and playing off Christy Fagan, or Anto for that matter. He was there at the right moment, the right time, just clipped it over the keeper. Great result for us, and kept us right in the mix with Dundalk and Sligo from that end. The Bows game, after the Shells victory, we drew 1-1. Obviously the importance of bringing in our players in the window. Daryl Kavanagh scored to get us that point. It was an important point, as I said to the guys after. You won't win or draw every game, so we've got to make sure that every point we pick up is a valuable point. If you win the league at the end of the season, it'll more likely be by 1, 2 or 3 points, so they're all very, very important.
Daryl Kavanagh came in the summer, inspirational signing if I do say so myself. Worked for him for a short time in Limerick. Great fella, gave the place a real lift. Scored some very important goals. Never stands still. He's the Irish Gaza with quite a few teeth less than Gaza, and by all accounts throws a hell of a party.
Yeah, we travelled up to Derry, and we've picked up a result up there. Difficult venue again to go to. Killian Brennan, free kick outside the box. He's put it in around the wall. It's hit the inside of the post and gone back across behind the keeper. Great strike, a fantastic goal. I put us back top of the table that night as well, if memory serves me right. The only disappointing part of that evening was Stephen Maher unfortunately broke his leg. He had done particularly well in the last few games, the previous few games. And I was so disappointed for him. You know, we as a group we were waiting in the hospital to find out whether he had actually broke it or not. And it was probably after 1 o'clock when we found out that it was broken. He had to stay in for a day or two there, and it sort of, you know, it was one of the low parts of the season. Bearing in mind he's a great fella and he did particularly well for us through that period. Just terribly unfortunate. Occupational hazards that players pick up, but it was just terribly unfortunate. But the result was great, and it kept us top of the table from that end.
Stephen Maher, fantastic professional, works very hard at his fitness. He's obsessed with his diet and his fitness and everything else. Did very well when he got into the team, was unbelievably unfortunate to break his leg, but had a huge part to play over the course of the season.
After the Derry game, where we had a tremendous result to pick up our 3 points, we had Limerick and then Dundalk. Now, I had a feeling that the guys would have been teeing themselves up for the Dundalk game, because it was obviously going to be a top-of-the-table clash. We had to get down to Limerick, and it was going to be a difficult venue. It is a difficult venue to play down there in Thomond Park. We've gone down, we've drew 0-0. We didn't turn up in the first half and did far better in the second half, if memory serves me right, in that we played well in the second half and probably could have snuck it. But listen, a draw was a reasonable result, and I did think the performance probably just merited about a point. So I wasn't being too disappointed in that. Greg Bulger was suspended for that game, so there was a little bit of juggling around. We changed our formation ever so minutely, but to get a result was just tremendous. Forrester scored a header, free kick knocked out to Gerard O'Brien down the line. He's crossed it in. We encourage Christy Forrester to get in the box as often as he can, because he's a particularly good header of the ball.
Byrne is going to leave it for Brennan to take on the responsibility. Sends it wide now for Gerard O'Brien. O'Brien delivers the cross. That's a decent ball in, and it's headed in, and St Patrick's Athletic lead. How big a goal could that prove to be? It's Chris Forrester, the right man in the right place to power the ball to the net. Brilliant delivery from O'Brien, and what a finish from Chris Forrester.
Absolutely, Adrian. I mean, again, it's just a little different chance. Gerard O'Brien has done outstandingly. Great ball in the box. Forrester on mark. Shocking marking. There's Gerard O'Brien. Different class of pull back. Gets to the byline. Great ball in. Marking. Where were you?
Great result. A great goal, should I say. And then I remember Conan Byrne cutting inside and knocking across for Darrell Kavanagh to take a touch with his right foot. Just a tremendous, tremendous goal. Bounced in front of him, caught it on the volley and stuck it in the top corner.
Sure, at this stage Pats will try and just take the sting out of the game, but it's a spicy encounter as it stands. Ball fed in here, Kavanagh! Brilliant! Absolutely top drawer. Liam Buckley celebrates an absolutely top-notch goal from Darrell Kavanagh, and it's 2-0 to the Saints.
Different class. I mean, he's been threatening all night. I put the kiss to that, and I said he doesn't score enough of goals. He does everything else. Great ball by Conan Byrne. Brilliant first touch. Top class finish.
It was just a tremendous occasion. I'm sure the fans really enjoyed it. I know the players came into the dressing room after having beaten them, because it knocked them back substantially in relation to their ambition to win it, but more importantly for us, it gave us a bit of momentum, and you know, I'm glad we grabbed that and ran with it and got through to the end of the season. We've travelled out to Bray, and again a tricky little venue to go to. We've gone 1-0 up, playing quite well. We went 2-0 up, I think, and then it went to 2-1. And with a few minutes to go, probably about 15 minutes to go, I could see their lad cut inside, and Brendan has pulled a worldie for us to keep it at 2-1, because if it goes to 2-2, that game can finish 2-2, and it was getting nervy because of the importance of the last few games in the season. But from there, we've gone up the park, and the last few minutes then, Christy Fagan has scored a winner for a third goal, should I say, in Bray. A great result, bearing in mind, it was an occasion it was a banana skin for us, and if he had slipped up there, it might have had a bit of an effect on the last 3 or 4 games, but we've done particularly well. lads have applied themselves great. Brendan, I'd say, has pulled out a great save there. We did deserve to win the game, I have to say, you know, over the 90 minutes, but those games can slip away from you the odd time, but luckily enough, we've picked up our 3 points there.
Brendan Clark, top goalkeeper. His biggest strength is his kicking of the ball, and he's very good with the ball at his feet, which he honed over many years, practicing at half-time when he was sub-keeper here for about 8 years in a row. Had a good start to the season, got a bit of a fright when Dave Ryan got in, settled into decent form then got the fright of his life when we signed Rennie Gilmartin and pushed on and was excellent till the end of the season and ended up being goalkeeper of the year, which was great for him because he's a local lad and, you know, a genuine Pat supporter.
Then we have gone to UCD the following week, and we've gone 1-0 down in Belfield. Again, on their day, when the kids in Belfield play, they can play particularly well. But I knew the lads were at it and they were busy, and I felt we were going to get a chance or two, and as we do in most games, get a few chances. We've bagged 3 goals after that to win 3-1, which set up the game then for Sligo the following week. And if you beat Sligo, I felt again that was going to kill them. They would have been gone after that. So I could tell everybody was terribly excited about beating UCD because it put us in the driving seat going to Sligo. The weekend of the Sligo match, Dundalk were playing Bohemians in Dalymount Park. Big game for them. They had to win it to keep in the mix. And I felt it was going to be difficult because we had played Bows a few times and they pulled draws out of us. And I was hoping Bows would turn up on the night, and they did. They got a draw of it, which meant that playing Sligo the following night, if we win, we win the league. I've no doubt everybody coming to the dressing room, we all knew the situation here. We're all adults, professionals. We've played all season to put ourselves in this position. There was still an element of nervousness about the occasion because in the blink of an eye, you lose the match, all of a sudden straight back in the mix, and you know you're going to have a nervy little run in. That said, when I looked around the dressing room, you know, over the previous 2 months, there was a steely determination within some of the, especially some of the senior lads that we had. I could see they weren't letting go. You know, they were dogged in some of their games, and they were driving people on in the dressing room and even training and all that. I could feel that they weren't going to let that occasion go by. I didn't think it'd be such a brilliant occasion in that the goals were great. Greg Bulger's one when he picked it up 30 yards from goal. I think that was the only goal he scored that season because he is a defensive midfielder and he's not normally in positions to get shots. But as soon as he did in that area, I remember just saying to myself, hit it, Greg. Hit it. I seem to have said it 3 or 4 times before he actually hit it. But as soon as it left his boot, I could see Rodgers in their goal. I could see him struggling getting across. I said, get down. I could just get in over him and under the bar. Just a brilliant goal. I'm delighted for Greg because he had a brilliant season for us, and for him to score such an important goal on such an occasion was just tremendous.
Sligo out of their own penalty area. Sligo have it again. Now it's Bulger. The shot set up for Bulger. What a goal! What a fantastic goal! And Pats need to win, and they are in front in the 33rd minute.
What a lovely strike, Bulger. It's a perfect strike there, and it's giving Rodgers no chance whatsoever. He just catches it absolutely beautiful into that top corner. There's no keeper would have stopped that.
Greg Bulger, where do I start with Greg? As big a moaner as any of the others. Very good player, had a fantastic season, probably his best ever season. Greg spends a lot of his time away from football in bed. People think that's because he's resting. It's actually because in bed you don't spend any money. Greg has a wallet and there's punts in it. At one stage he lived next door to me, and I've actually seen him, he turns off the gas when he's flipping his rashers. But apart from that, top player who had a fantastic season.
Then we had John Russell going down the right hand side. I think he picked up from Ger O'Brien a little bit of link play there, got in behind the defence, pulled it back across the goal for Anto Flood, and he just slotted it in a side footer. At 2-0, I felt they were gone at that stage. They weren't going to come back, and I could see their demeanour. They were sort of, I won't say accepting, but they were sort of, I just felt that we weren't going to let that go.
Conan Byrne, and Russell is in a great position. He's got in around behind Pearce. John Russell for St. Pat slides it across, and it's in from Flood. It's 2-0. Are they on their way to their first league title in 14 years? 2-0 they lead, heading to half-time. look at Russell's run here, and just slides it across there, you know, and it's a tap in for Flood, who makes up the ground to get there. But Gavin Pearce trying to retrieve the position, knows there's the real danger. Alan King can't get across. Flood comes in, tap in. Lovely, lovely, incisive play by St. Patrick.
You know, I knew at that stage, look, I just couldn't wait for the final whistle, because obviously we won it if we got the result. But on it was just a tremendous finish to the game, with the crowd and singing "We're champions" and all that sort of stuff. And it was just a great occasion for me personally as well. I have to say, having my family at the matches, my wife and kids go to the games, all the games, I've no doubt they were chuffed. It was just great. Sorry, getting emotional there on it. Back in the dressing room with the lads, just places absolutely buzzing. Everybody from all the staff, everybody for me, it was a great occasion. Just a great celebratory night. We're up in the Red Cow afterwards with everybody, all our fans. You know, it was just, as I say, a superb 2 weeks actually, because we'd won it that night but weren't presented with the trophy, which we would have to have this celebration again the following week, which we did. Some of us celebrated too much in relation to the last couple of games, but just a brilliant performance. I thought it summed up how we played this season. We played particularly well. I've no doubt there was a magnificent crowd here. It was brilliant for all our supporters. That was a game shown live on TV as well, so it would have been a good advert for the league, which is great. But overall, it was just a brilliant few minutes there at the end. Once it was over, because all season you're working for this, and especially when you look back on some of the defeats, and the Dock defeat, the Rovers defeat, and the draw here and there. You know, are you going to can you get it over the line? To have got it over the line in such style was just great. And I'm delighted for all the fellas. They deserved it. They've worked extremely hard. They're very professional with their training and their application and their attitude and all that sort of stuff. It was just fantastic. The amount of work that everybody's put into it was just tremendous. And, you know, to have won it with 2 games to go, it just took a bit of pressure off, because inevitably you don't think you're going to win it until you've won it, you know, and that could go to the last game. But it was brilliant to have won it with 2 games to go. The last couple of games, having won the league, we've got Derry here, and we owe it to ourselves and the league as well to make sure we perform. And in fairness, I thought we played quite well that night. Anta Flood scored a worldie, coming in off the left wing here, clipped it in over the keeper. Never seen him scoring it, but what a wonderful goal. I thought we deserved our draw in the second half. We probably could have won the game. I thought the performance was quite good on the evening, but to get the trophy again is a great night, a great occasion for everybody. I know all the players had all their families there, and it was great for all of them, because they went to a lot of the games up and down the country. For all our fans, they all turned up. Although we'd won it the previous week, they all turned up against Derry. Again, just a tremendous occasion to be presented with the trophy. It is a historic day for the club. Bearing in mind we've won it, whatever, 10, 11, 12 times. You know, we're all part of the history now because we won it. But it was just another great occasion for everybody. You know, when I think of all of the group, you know, we've got 30 people in our players and staff, and then we've our board, then you've got all our sponsors, you know, who without them we wouldn't have got it over the line. You know, with our patron scheme, who have helped open up the stand at the back of the goal. You know, if that wasn't the occasion of Bulger's goal, that sort of makes the whole goal. You know, when you see it going in, the crowd behind it and all that, you know, we'd be thankful to them. There's so many different people that I'd be delighted for within the family of St. Pat's, because I'd like to think they all take a little bit they all have to hand on the trophy to some degree, you know, because it was just, you know, a really good season. And hopefully we can build on that, please God, into next season.
Conor Kennett, captain last year, absolutely fantastic. Brilliant defender, good leader, had an absolutely fantastic season, and we'll never speak about him again. Kenny Brown, worked with Kenny at Fingal, full year at Fingal, never heard him speak. Then he started speaking earlier this year. It was a moan, and he didn't stop moaning for the whole season. Nothing makes him happy. He's grumpy when we win, he's grumpy when we lose, he's just generally grumpy. But an absolute top player, best centre half in the league since I retired. Ian Birmingham, undoubtedly the best left back in the league, top full back, should be playing in England. Fantastic athlete, has knuckled down the last couple of years. Probably, if he's being honest, would say he wasn't the greatest pro in the earlier part of his career, but last year was his best season, and I'm sure there's much more to come from him.
And then we were down to Cork, and there was a lot of celebrations going on, and not as an excuse, but we didn't play well down in Cork. The first half we were very poor, it was the worst we've been all season. In the second half I thought we got it back to 3-2, but to lose 4-2 was 4-2. We were disappointed with the result. Look, I wasn't going to take away from the hard work that we've all put in the season. Like, our objective at the start was get into Europe. If we could win it, great. We did win it, great. And that's how we see the season.
Gerard Bryan, again, fantastic player, great pro, great around the dressing room, had a brilliant season. People say that Seamus Coleman is doing very well for himself now. I always say when Seamus played here, he was the second best right back in the league, because Gerard was the best then and he's still the best now.
I've been here quite a few years now, to be honest. I won the league in '95 and with Brian Kerr in 99, 2000 or 2000, whatever it was, in around that time. And it's a very hard-working club. I think everybody, we don't take any lightly here. We have to work for whatever we get. You know, we just don't buy success as such. You know, and there's a lot of people who put an awful lot of time. I see Phil Mooney and some of these people, they're going back, I don't know how many years at this club, you know. Some of our supporters go back as far as the last time we've won the cup. You know, I've one or two elderly people that was like, can we ever win the cup? We will be trying to do that over the next season or two. You know, it's just, it is special that way that, you know, it is a family club, there's no two ways about it, you know. All our supporters are die-hard, they're all mad into it, which is great, and you know, they're travelling up and down the country, and I think they're respected around the country as well. And to be honest with you, I would love that to grow, you know. When I look back in the year 2000 when we won the league, 99, 2000, in around that period, we probably would have had 2,500 to 3,000 people come regularly to league matches. Like, if we can get that back to that now, this would be a real difficult place to come to. And if we can get that into next season, on top of where we are with the group, the signings that we've made in and the staff, we've strengthened up everywhere, I'd like to think. So, you know, we can look forward to next season again, please God. Every season I've been involved in football, I've had lows. Different occasions. It could be leagues, not just being runners-up in leagues, which I've been, knocked out in cups, which I've been, and you know, there's always going to be disappointments over the season, but you can't let them mask the success that if you do go on to win stuff. Like, we did go on to win the league. That was our objective. I'll cut to the chase. That was my objective to start the season. Try and win the league first and foremost. If we can do something in Europe after that, and then the FAI Cup. They were their three main priorities. We're disappointed to get knocked out of the cup here by Rovers. Felt for the first 15-20 minutes in that game, we were on top, and then they've gone and scored a goal here that they were a bit fortunate with, and it put them in the driving seat from that end. That said, we went out. We had to take the positives out of the situation, not so much that occasion, but the situation was we didn't have any more cup games, so we could focus on our league games, and they give us breaks in between. We didn't have a semi-final. I think it was probably the quarter-finals. We didn't have the semi-final and final to worry about. I would have preferred to worry about, don't get me wrong, but nonetheless, it took the pressure off some of the league games in relation to injuries and suspensions, and we had to manage all that as we're going along. That said, as I say, there will be disappointments. I've no doubt there'll be one or two disappointments this year. We're not going to win every game this year, so we just have to move on from them quickly and regroup, and let's nail the next match. And all the best teams do, and I've no doubt our lads will be looking at that this year. We've got another good group, both on and off the pitch. We're going to be back in the mix again, I've no doubt, and with a bit of luck and desire and a bit of passion and a bit of madness, we won't be far off it again. There was loads of times I said, we're capable of getting this over the line. I felt over quite a few of the games that if we kept up the momentum, kept up the training, the way we were training, and kept up all that momentum, you know, there was a great chance of winning this. You know, you don't want to tempt fate in these things because they can kick you out the door. But I would have felt at certain stages through the season that definitely we had a real good chance with this group. You know, now as it transpired, we have won it, but But there was never a single thing where I said we're going to win it. I would have never been that sort of disrespectful to the other clubs, I think, and say that. But I felt we had a real good chance, you know. I'm sure Dundalk would have felt the same, and Sligo maybe. But from our end of it, I just knew by the face in some of the lads in the dressing room, like, you know, the less I had to say, the better, you know, the kind of way, because I knew that they were in control here. Because ultimately, they're the ones that are going to win you the league. They're the ones that get over the white line. They're the ones that play. They're the ones that kick people and fight and all that sort of stuff. And there was enough madness in the dressing room to make sure we got over the line. There was enough guys in there that I felt, and equally one or two of the younger lads that were going to, like Chris Forrester coming in, brilliant talent and scored some magnificent goals. I've known that he's going to have another good season this year, probably his best, please God. You know, but any one moment, no. Over this, loads of moments I would have felt, yeah, we had a great chance of winning it.
Personally, winning the league was obviously a high point because it's the first time that, you know, won the league not playing. It was nice to win it at Pats because having always been the most popular person around here. As I tell people, it's now 18 years since I left. They need to get over it. I wasn't that good. Well, I probably was that good, but anyway. My uncle played here, my father played here, my son is on the under-19, so as much as, you know, certain things happened in the past, you know, it is the closest club to me geographically, and it's the club that, you know, probably had the best time at, and so it was great. And as Liam would have touched on earlier, for the people in the club, Pat O'Callaghan, Phil Mooney, Paddy Eccles, people like that, that's what makes the club the club it is, really.
Also, the season was a fantastic occasion for all the staff of the players, you know, the group that we have around the players, because they've worked extremely hard and tirelessly throughout the season. We brought in Harry Kenny as a coach. He came in and helped out with the coaching end of things and did tremendously well with all the guys, worked well with them. With Pat Jennings, our goalkeeping coach, again, Brendan got goalkeeper of the year, which sums up his amount of work that he, you know, and I compliment Pat on what he's done with Brendan and Rennie, this, you know, over the second half of the season with both of them. Dave Campbell would come in as my assistant. Dave he would look at all the matches. The games the weekend before we played them, he'd look at the opposition the weekend before, should I say, and he'd have a match synopsis on how they play and what they do and how they're doing it. We'd put that in the presentation to the guys to have a chat with them about how and what they do, and a lot of time goes into that. Equally, Dave would be involved in sourcing the players. We'd come up with guys that we're going to go and chase, and he'd be chasing down numbers and all these contacts and getting details on them, and our European games, finding information about them. I don't know where he gets the time to do all this, but he does. And I had to say, a tremendous amount of work goes on behind the scenes to get that all tidied up.
I've worked with Liam Buckley since we were together at Fingal, so we said at the end of the season, after the Sligo game, that this was 5 years in the making. It was 5 years planning, and with a year, 1 year out, still going to games, still building imaginary squads all the time. If this happened, who would you sign and the whole lot? But the best thing about working with Liam is listening to the Bucko-isms all the time, because it is what it is. And if we can kick this gig on, we will get it over the line.
My own son Graham was involved with the video analysis, and again, he'd be sending stuff out to Brendan every week. Every time he plays and touches the ball, it goes out to him, and this, that and the other. And it helped me in assessing some of how we're playing and some of the stuff that I'd be moaning about at home. Ger McDermott, our conditioning coach, he came in as well. They would read all our heart monitors. The lads were in heart monitors for training, and how we, you know, manage all that and give them some sort of feedback on it. Christy O'Neill, our physio, came in, done a tremendous job as well, you know, from an injury prevention point of view, and keeping the lads on the pitch as much as we possibly can do. I'd like to thank Mick Spillane as well. We've used him as a physio in Clondalkin. We've used him a huge amount of time this season with all the players to go up to get him. He would have checked over them from a structure point of view. And Matt Corcoran, our club doctor, Matt seems to be here forever as well. Does a brilliant job for us, goes to all the games, and he's a great lad to work with. Jerry Malloy, our equipment manager, done a great job this year, trekking up and down the country, equally getting the stuff abroad in our European games and whatever. Done a tremendous job. There's quite a few other people I'd like to thank, and I feel have a bit of a hand on the trophy this year. that goes unseen. Our ground staff who've done a fantastic job this year. Early on the season, the pitch, we actually had a couple of games called off because of the weather, but ever since then they've worked extremely hard on it. We do need a decent surface to play our passing game. I'd like to thank Anthony Maguire, Dave Carter, Bruce, all the Foss guys that have helped out with the ground. They've kept it in brilliant nick all season, and it was an integral part of our success. I'd like to thank, speaking of the pitch, the Alta Club out on the north side there at the airport, with Maeve Leahy and her staff, treat us particularly well out there. They've looked after, they've maintained the training area where we play. You know, it's been fantastic. We've access to the gymnasium over there and the meeting rooms and all that. They've been very, very hospitable, and I'd like to thank them also. Our own office staff here, you know, Anthony Delaney, who I'd liaise with once, twice or three times a day, does a tremendous job on the running of the business of the club here. He's got his finger involved in all the bits and pieces. He's helped me immensely this year. Frank and Tia also I'd like to thank as well. They've put a Trojan amount of time and effort and work into the club, and a lot of that does go unseen, so I'd like to recognise that as part of the success we've had this year. I'd also like to thank our volunteers who've done a tremendous job this season. Bobby and Auntie would have looked after the security end of things, and all their staff done a tremendous job. I'd also like to thank personally the hospitality staff that we have upstairs. They've looked after us brilliantly this season. Michelle, Lisa and Laura, they've done a great job. I'd also like to thank Ronan for all my notes and my match programme and all that. He helps me with them every week. I'd like to thank Donal for the video analysis that we do. He would give us a DVD of each game. Graham would analyse it fairly promptly, and we can then assess it and then process it out with the guys after that, but a very important part of our makeup. I'd like to thank Coleman Hanley as well, who would have helped out with all the media meetings, setting up a press conference and all that, and does a tremendous job. And I'd also like to thank our PA, John Lee, done a great job. It was a joy working with John as well this year. I'd also like to thank Pat O'Callaghan. I know Pat going back to years. He puts a Trojan amount of work into the club. I'd be living here last here on Friday night, sorry, second last. Pat will be last, helping out with all the bits and pieces. I'm delighted we had a bit of success as well for him this season, because a bit overdue for us, bearing in mind it was 13 or 14 years since we won the last league, but I'm sure he's really enjoyed the season for what it is. I'd also like to mention the turnstile people, the people that help up with the match programme, the sales, actually getting it processed out. There's a Trojan amount of people there to do an awful lot of work, and without all these volunteers, we just wouldn't be the same club. So I'd like to thank them on behalf of the club itself. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors. They've been very good to us this year, in particular Clune Construction. Michael Clune came over earlier on in the year with his family. It was great to see them here in Richmond Park. They were delighted with the success we've had. His company is now mentioned in the Champions League for this season coming up. He's delighted the way it's all gone. Like Carolyn Kinsler, and all our sponsors around the ground, they've all been tremendous, helping us get this over the line this year. I'd also like to thank our board, who've done a tremendous job in running this whole organisation of St. Pat's, in particular Phil Mooney, who seems to be with the club forever and a day. I'd also like to thank Gareth for all his support and help through this year. Every suggestion that I've come up with, more or less, he's took on board, and we've pushed the whole project of St. Pat's both on and off the pitch very well, and I'm looking forward to working again with him this year. I'd also like to thank my family, Orla, Mark, Graham and Alex. Two of them are up here in the shed and Vincentables at the end. They really enjoy it. My wife and Alex travel to every away game. It's really a pleasure for me as a father of my kids to have them all involved with St. Pat's. We all get a great kick out of it. We discuss the team on a regular basis, as in daily. Some days Orla gets it right, some days Mark gets it wrong, some days Graham gets it right, some days Alex gets it wrong. But most importantly, I got it right most of the time, so that's all that matters. I'd also like to thank our patrons scheme, our patrons who've helped open up our stand at the back of the goal here. When I think back on Greg Bulger's goal, really what made that so fantastic was the crowd behind it. And watching them all stepping up and jumping up and the excitement that all brought, bearing in mind it puts us 1-0 up in the most important game of the season. It was just tremendous. Without their help, we wouldn't have had that opened, and it does add an atmosphere to the ground, especially when it's full like that day. I'd like to thank them as well. And finally, I'd like to thank the supporters. Without them, it wouldn't have been the success we've had this year. They've travelled in great numbers up and down the country, from Cork to Derry to Sligo. They're highly respected everywhere they go. They put a Trojan amount of time and effort into it, apart from money, but they've done brilliant. I'm delighted for them that they've enjoyed the season so much, you know, especially when we were winning games. To see the faces of these guys and girls enjoying it so much was just tremendous. I'd like to thank them on behalf of the team and staff. They've done a tremendous job, and I noticed that over the 12th man, they were the 12th man for us, and they've done a tremendous job. Hopefully we'll have the same again this year, a good season, and we'll give them another year to remember, but I'd like to thank them officially.